that millions of Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, Jews, all of them are heading for hell.
This atheist asked Timothy Keller, do you believe that there's only one God? And his answer might blow you away. Make sure to watch to the end because I have a Bible verse that will tie all of this together. Let's get right into it.
Do you believe that there is only one God and that there is only one way to approach that God?
If. I'm speaking as a Christian here. If Jesus Christ is who he says he is, that is, if he is the Son of God from heaven, if he really was bodily raised from the dead, and if he was our original creator, I mean, if all that's true, that's what he says, then of course it'd have to be just one way to God, because our souls would need him, or they would shrivel eternally, just like your body needs food, or it would shrivel. I mean, the fact is, my body needs food or it will shrivel. That's not narrow-minded to say, that's just the way it is. If Jesus is who he said he is, then our souls would have to get him in order to be eternally full and thrive. And if we don't get him, then we would eternally shrivel. So to say, it seems so narrow to claim that there's only one way to God, to say that actually precludes the possibility that Jesus is who he says he is. I mean, if he is who he says he is, then that's what we have to say. If he's not who he says he is, then of course it's narrow. So basically, you have to sit down and ask yourself the question about the facts of Jesus' life and look at that, and not say, I don't even want to look at Jesus, I don't even want to hear the claims of Christianity because they seem so exclusive.
So where does that leave the millions of Muslims, Sikhs and Jews? Are they sadly and completely deluded?
People who never heard about Jesus or never really got a hearing about Jesus.
I'm not talking about them because some of those people have heard about. I'm talking about the millions of
Right.
Muslims, Sikhs and Jews who have heard about Jesus. Where does your thesis leave them?
Where they are right now, that means that if there's never any change, they don't get Jesus. If he is who he said he is, then long term they don't have God. If, on the other hand, all I can always say about this is, God gives me, even as a minister with the Scripture, a lot of information on a need-to-know basis. And a need-to-know basis means, here's all I can tell you. Unless you get Jesus Christ, who created you to start with, unless you are reunited with him sometime, there is no eternal future of thriving. It just makes sense. Again, I'm trying to go back to this idea that if he is who he says he is, you've got to have him. If right now a person doesn't have them, then he or she needs to get them. If they die and they've never, if they die and they don't have Jesus Christ, I don't know. In other words, I have a need-to-know basis. This is the only thing I know. You need Jesus. I certainly know that God is wiser than me, more merciful than me. And I do know that when I finally find out how God is dealing with every individual soul, I won't have any questions about it.
Okay.
Anyway, whoever's filming this video, it's kind of distracting. Especially for the people who don't ever hear about God. God will judge them accordingly based off of how many times they had the opportunity to know God. And I think at the end of the day, we all do. They all get a chance to accept Jesus or not. We are shown who God is through creation, through the wonders of this world.
If this is the only way to God, and if Christians are heading for a place called heaven, does that mean, therefore, by deduction, that millions of Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, Jews, all of whom hold their faith with enormous integrity, all of them are heading for hell?
There's a lot of people who were born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they grew up in First Baptist Church there, who are also headed for a Christless eternity.
Also, I'll just point out, a lot of those other religions think the same thing. If you don't follow Allah, then you're going to hell. What's the difference? You shouldn't be upset if you don't think it's true. That's the problem.
Every human being chooses an identity. It's either based on the grace of God, or it's basically based on your own performance and your own ability, and therefore on your own self. And if 1 billion years from now you've put your hope in the grace of God, you will be beautiful and happy. If 1 billion years from now you base your identity on your own self and your own abilities and your own performance, you'll be miserable. In fact, you can see it even now. Self-centered people are miserable even now, not 1 billion years from now. So there are plenty of people who are raised Christians. There's plenty of people who were raised in First Baptist Church, but in their hearts have not turned toward the grace of God. People in other religions, unless they find Christ, I don't know any other way, but I also get information on a need-to-know basis. If there's some trapdoor or something like that, I haven't been told about it. But I also don't know, I guess I want to know this. I want to know when a person says, I need to know everything about how God is going to deal in all eternity with all individuals before I can bite down on Christianity. I feel that you actually are maybe projecting your American democratic individualistic understanding of, you really want a president or a governor or a mayor. You don't really want a king. And I can understand that because human beings are flawed, and therefore monarchy was not a very good approach to things. But if you have a perfect God, perfect king, comes and suffers in Jesus Christ, then at a certain point I trust him.
How is your position fair and rational?
Well, look.
How is that just?
I actually don't know that people in other centuries or other cultures were nearly as bothered about this as people in this room. And you're doing a pretty good job of articulating how nervous, upset they feel about this. But this idea that everybody needs to have an equal chance is not something that most people have felt was self-evident. I mean, just because everybody you know feels that way doesn't mean, and that your culture feels that way, doesn't mean you can now come to the Bible and Christian teaching and say, because we Western individualistic people don't like this part of biblical revelation, it can't be true. The fact is, in the Middle East, where people are not nearly as bothered by this idea that some religions are right and some religions are wrong, that's not their problem with Christianity at all.
Well, anyway, guys, that was amazing. And Jesus told them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So, guys, I encourage you to go to Jesus today. If Jesus is true, if Jesus is who he said he is, I encourage you to go to him. Look to the evidence. Was he really real? Did he really live on this earth? Did he really die a brutal death by the Romans? Did he really resurrect? The people who saw Jesus resurrect, did they do it for their own gain? So guys, I encourage you to go to him today. He loves you, and he was longing to have a relationship with you. It will fill the voids in your life, and it will make all the difference in the world. So go to him. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I know we can do it with your help. Thank you, guys. I love and appreciate you all, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Peace.